Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Mustard Seed Leadership Podcast, where we have been doing a series called Kingdom Leadership. This is part 6 of that mini-series, and it'll be the final episode in this installment. And right the way through, I've been sharing this key verse with you because Matthew chapter 20, verse 26, Jesus had been speaking to his disciples. And then remember, he looked at the leadership of the world and he said, you know how the leaders in the world lead. They dominate, they abuse authority, they take advantage of people. And he looked at his disciples and he says, but with you, it will be different. Whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant. The heart of kingdom leadership is wanting to serve others rather than be served by others. And what that does is it makes kingdom leadership two things. It makes it glorious and it makes it different. We should look different. Kingdom leaders shouldn't look exactly like the leaders that we see in the world. There's a difference to the way we do leadership, and that difference should be glorious. So this week's episode, I want to focus on this title. Kingdom leadership demands intentionality. I love that word, intentionality. And a little law behind that is simply this: you will get older naturally, but you will only get better intentionally. You know, maturity is not just about age. I've been a believer for 30 years, but the reality is our spiritual growth requires intentionality. Biologically, we just naturally get older, but to truly mature takes intentionality. And exactly the same with the leadership gift. If you want to grow as a leader, it's going to require intentionality. It's going to require you to invest in your leadership growth. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, I have to confess, well, it's not so much a confession, but it's just a conclusion that I've come to. I wasn't born as what some people might say, a natural leader. You know, someone may be born as an 8 or a 9 out of 10. They just kind of had leadership skill all over them. They were commanding their parents from the crib already. In fact, I was probably born closer to about a 6 out of 10. However, being a pastor and being in an environment that values leadership, what's happened over the last sort of 15, 20 years is I've been exposed to leadership training and encouraged to grow in my leadership to the point where I'm probably closer to about an 8 now, and I've seen the value, the return on investment that comes from investing in leadership growth. Now, the Bible tells us in Romans chapter 12, where it's speaking about the different grace gifts. Verses 6 to 8, it says, in His grace, God has given us different gifts for doing certain things well. So if God has given you the ability to prophesy, speak out with as much faith as God has given you. If your gift is to serve others, serve them well. If you're a teacher, teach well. If your gift is to encourage others, be encouraging. If it's giving, give generously. And here it is. If God has given you leadership ability, take the responsibility seriously. Now, that's the command to those who've been given the grace of leadership gift. Now, you would not be listening or studying these leadership podcasts unless something inside of you resonated or something inside of you said, yes, I want to be a better leader. So the command to you, according to Scripture, is to take that leadership gift seriously. Excuse me. Now, the ESV version says it's slightly different. It says, the one who leads with zeal. So the NLT said, take it seriously. The ESV says, lead with zeal. In the NIV, it says, if it is to lead, do it diligently. Now, whenever different words are used, it means that the translators are trying to find the exact understanding. How do we administer this gift? Now, that same word seriously or zeal or diligently, it's actually used somewhere else. And I like finding where else a word is used so that you can understand something of its meaning. And it's used, interestingly enough, in Luke chapter 1 and verse 39, where the angel had come to Mary to say, you're about to have a child. And her first response was to go off and find her aunt. Remember Elizabeth. But it says this in Luke 1 verse 39. At that time, Mary got ready and hurried to a town in the hill country of Judea. That word hurried is the same word as that word zeal or diligently or seriously. So part of that word includes all of these facets of seriousness, zeal, diligence, hurriedness. And if I try and bring all of those words together into a single word, I would use the word intentionality. Intentionality carries a seriousness, a deliberateness, a diligence, a hurriedness, and make sure that it happens. So the big idea, the leadership gift demands intentionality. Intentionality to grow your gift and to administer your gift well. So I want to just give you 3 practical ways. How do we bring intentionality to our leadership growth? Number 1, keep learning. Keep learning, keep learning, keep learning. Never be satisfied. Never think you've arrived, but always be a student. In fact, Andy Stanley said it like this: the leader who stops learning stops leading. So never stop learning. Always be a student. Always keep on growing. There's an old adage that says leaders are readers. Now, I know a lot of leaders who hate reading. That's why they invented Audible. That's why they invented podcasts. So you can even listen to books being read to you. But the main thing is keep studying, keep growing, keep learning. So for me, I love books, I love podcasts, but what I've discovered, it's not just for information, but it's the inspiration that comes from books, podcasts, and things as well. So number 1, keep learning. Number 2, keep changing. Don't allow yourself to become stagnant. Last week we looked at that church in Jerusalem, and church in Jerusalem was the leading church for the first 10 chapters of the book of Acts. But then from Acts chapter 11 onward, it looked like Antioch and then other churches took over that leadership role. Why? Well, partly, I think, because the church in Jerusalem stopped changing. Jesus said, go into all the world, and yet they stayed. Jesus says this gospel is for all nations, but they only preached it to the Jews. In Antioch, however, they crossed over that barrier. They brought about change, and the hand of God was upon them. And they grew, and as they grew, they led. So, someone once said this: if you want your team to stay relevant, then lead them into the unknown. Keep on changing, and you'll keep on growing. And then thirdly, stay consistent. John Maxwell said leaders are not made in a day, but daily. And he used that illustration of any tree can be chopped down. If you went outside with your axe every day and chopped 5 times, eventually that tree would fall over. Consistency is powerful. And the challenge to leaders is, what is your daily 5 chops? What are those 5 little habits every day that you can begin to work on that will bring growth? For me, it means every day I need to pray. Every day I need to read and study the Word. Every day I should be writing and generating some content. Every day I need to be exercising to keep my body fit and strong. Every day I need to be encouraging someone, to be giving to others. What are your 5 chops? What is the consistency that you need to bring to your growth to ensure that you keep growing? So there's the challenge, and it's a simple one. Do you have a leadership growth plan? Are you learning? Are you changing? And are you being consistent? I pray that this little series of kingdom leadership would have inspired you, helped you. Let's keep on growing. And I can't wait for next week to chat some more. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Remember, if you'd like the notes that come along with this episode or any one of our past episodes, you can visit outlookchurch.co.za/mustardseed leadership, where you can see all our past episodes, all the resources and notes that go along with this. Until next time, keep growing.